I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Issaquah, Washington at the XXX Drive-In, where the rat bastards are having their Infestation Car Show. This is a great group of traditional hot rods, rat rods, all kinds of old customs. It's a very cool show. Well, you are going to do what you do every week. You're going to meet some great people, see some great cars, and listen to some great music. So kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Sean Hartman, this is so cool and so unusual, and we have done over 400 episodes of the Vintage Vehicle Show, and I want you to know it's the first time we've done one with 6 wheels. What do you have here?
I've got a 1944 troop carrier with a 1935 Dodge body on it. Like the frame, we flipped the frame as well, so it would get like 3 inches off the ground.
Okay, hold on here. So a troop carrier as in...
Like military. You know, military.
Big military truck. This is the chassis from that?
Yes.
And you did what with it?
We flipped it.
Actually turned it over?
Yeah, actually turned it over because the frame was actually riding about that high, so...
And the body on it and the running gear?
The body is from a 1935 Dodge. Engine and transmission are from a 66 Chevelle.
This is a rat rod show. Do you call this a rat rod or...
Rat rod.
What inspired this? I mean, this, you know, it's the most different vehicle here. How did this come to fruition?
Well, we had it in our garage, just the frame and the 3 axles, and it's just rolling. There's nothing on it. And then we decided, like, what would it look like if we just flipped it? And it would look cool. It was riding 3 inches off the ground. So we just decided to go from there.
That's you and your dad?
Yeah, that's me and my dad.
The huge front wheels, the 4 wheels in the back, how's it drive?
It's a little bumpy.
How's it steer and corner?
It takes corners very wide, but no power steering, so it's a little tough.
You're a young guy. You're 18, you told me off camera.
Yep.
You've got one of the coolest cars here. You're definitely drawing as much attention with this as anybody is with anything here. How's an 18-year-old guy end up with something so cool?
Help from my dad.
I wouldn't think this would work. You know, if you told me you were building this, that it's going to have 4 wheels in the back, 2 giant wheels in the front, I would think the proportions would be off. With the 4 wheels in the back, it would just look really goofy, but it works. It all really works.
Yeah, we didn't expect it to come out this good either.
So again, the running gear is what?
It's a 66 Chevelle, and powered by a 2-speed power glide.
Is there anything in this thing that went together simply, as in, you know, if somebody was building their 53 Chev pickup and they did this kind of stuff too, this stuff would be would fall into place fairly easily. With working with such an obscure chassis, was it just you welded and cut as you went along?
We had to do things like 2 or 3 times, so it was a little tough. But
would you do it again?
yes, definitely.
Clarence Freeman, you own a very unusual car here. It caught my eye, built by Rick Hall, standing next to you here. Tell me, what is this?
Well, I call it a rattle-ack. It's a 28 Dodge with a 48 flathead Cadillac engine, and it has a lot of Cadillac parts: Lincoln, Buick, Ford, Mopar, Honda, Toyota, everything in it. But I met Rick down at the beach last year down at Long Beach. It was a rod run, and he had his rat rod, and I fell in love with a rat rod. I said, I have an engine just like this at home. He said, bring it out. 9 months later, here it is.
So just 9 months. What was the biggest challenge on this?
Welding.
Trying to make sure that I got what he was looking for. He kept asking me, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? And I kept saying, Clarence, you got to come out to the garage when it's done and be able to walk in and go, wow. You know, to really love the car. Because why have something that you don't like driving? Why have something that just sits there and collects dust?
What was your first impression when you came out and saw the finished product?
Well, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted. He must have read my mind or something, because I don't know. It turned out so nice. He didn't make any mistakes. That's what I can't believe.
You that we didn't tell him about.
So you have a 28 Dodge body. What year Cadillac motor is this?
1948, the last of the flathead V8s, and almost the first of the automatics. So it's a nice blend of old school flathead V8 and an automatic, which makes it really nice to drive. This thing will go down the freeway is about as fast as you need to go and beyond. So it's really nice to drive.
I think one of the secrets on rat rods or traditional rods, whatever you want to call them, is keeping the funky appeal, but keeping the mechanicals, so you're not driving a death trap down the street.
Oh yes, making sure you have good brakes, good steering, that it's reliable, that you know, I went over this thing 2 or 3 times, making sure that it was, you know, solid, reliable, safe. You don't want it having problems in the parking lot starting. You don't want to be driving around and having strange steering problems. You want something that's fun, and it turned out to be fun. It was a blast.
What's the cubic inch on the 48 Cadillac motor, and what's the transmission and rear end that you have?
This is
346.
Yeah, 346 cubic inches. It's a Hydromatic 4-speed, and the rear end is a 9-inch Ford out of a mid-60s Ford pickup, because the 9-inch allowed us to get gear ratios, which came in handy because we didn't quite get the gear ratio he wanted. We could change it. We changed it really quickly, and it got the gear ratio he wanted.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show. This is a fun, very cool car. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Shanks, besides being a member of one of the coolest clubs in the Pacific Northwest, which we'll get to in just a moment, you have one of the coolest cars here today. Your 31 Ford is way cool.
Well, thank you very much, Lance. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the car. How'd this come together?
Well, the car is actually a hodgepodge of various different parts I had sitting in the garage for several years. I used to own a 32 Ford finished car, nice paint, and decided it had to go, and we wanted to build something like a rat rod or traditional hot rod. And so I took all those parts, and 2 years later, this is what it ended up to be.
You're a really old geezer like I am. This show, which is a screaming success, there's everything from what you would think of at a rat rod or traditional show, the tattooed 25-year-old guy with pomade all through his hair, to guys like us.
Yep.
The cars seem to be cutting through the whole community.
The cars, it's unique that you see as many different cars, from finished to traditional hot rods to the rat rods to what young kids really, the whole thing is, I think, is we're trying to get the young kids involved in this sport to keep it alive.
Tell me, what's pushing this thing around?
Well, it started out as a 1931 two-door sedan. I cut the top off, chopped the top 2 inches. It's powered by a 48 Merc flathead, running a C4 automatic, and it has a banjo rear end in it, converted to open drive. And so for 232 cubic inches with about 120 horsepower, it motivates down the road pretty good.
Yeah, and back in the day and right through to today, if you're going to have a flathead, the best one you could have was a 48 Merc.
Best one to have is a 48 Merc. They got a little bit better than 52, but if you can keep these babies running and stay on top of them, they're the best thing that ever was.
You belong to the Dumano's Car Club, which I think has been around since the 50s, right? Mm-hmm. And today's show was put on by the Rat Bastards, which is a newer club. I think they've been around for 4 or 5 years, something like that. But the club scene is strong everywhere, but it's so strong here in the Pacific Northwest.
It really is. And I think with the Washington State Hot Rod Hall of Fame, that's trying to gather up all the clubs that are in the state that have a tradition of being around in the 50s. We've been around since 1957, and it's a tremendous amount of cars in the state of Washington. If you were to get all the clubs together, you'd be able to fill Stadium High School pretty darn easy.
Well, I'm a graduate of Stadium High School, so I know what it takes to fill it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it would be awesome. It really would.
couple of years ago, I was at the XXX Drive-In in Issaquah, where we are right now, and this young man came up to me, told me he watches the Vintage Vehicle Show on a regular basis, is a big fan, and started going on and on and on about his cars and his drawings and his photography, and it was just great. And then I started seeing this guy at all the car shows. He's running around with his camera, taking pictures of cars, meeting the car people. Ryan Horsauger, you are a car guy.
Yeah, you pretty much got that right.
It's really neat that a 9-year-old is so into old American cars. Is that the case? Do you really like the old hot rods, or what's your favorite? If your mom and dad, they're standing right there, if they handed you a big fist of money and said, go buy any car you want, what would it be?
It would be a candy apple red and white 56 Bel Air 2-door sport coupe, all stock, all original. I might lower it a couple inches and put some new stuff in, maybe a bigger engine, something like that. But anyways, I'd keep it pretty stock. Yeah, I wouldn't go custom.
I said he was a car guy. Of all these cars that are here, of your Hot Wheels and Johnny Lightning, all that, which one is your favorite?
Well,
and why?
Well, I might have to say this 51 Studebaker Bullet Nose Champion, because this is a very rare car. I mean, I've never seen one of these before. This one in particular is a Racing Champions Mint series. It's
pretty realistic.
Yeah. Some of these have a lot of details, but some of them are pretty delicate too.
I've seen some of your photography work. It's really good. And your drawings, you just decided that you wanted to start drawing cars and did. And where do you do that? Do you go to car shows? How do you do your drawings?
Actually, what I do is that I get up on the internet. Well, some of them I do for my Hot Wheels, but most of them, what I do is I get up on the internet, and then I find say I wanted to get a 57 Chevy. I get a 3/4 from the front, and then I get a 3/4 from the back. I put it on Microsoft Publisher, and then I print it out, and then I just draw the picture. But the unique thing is that I draw the back and the front, so you can see the front and the back all in one picture.
Do you ever go to car shows and like set up a booth and draw pictures of people's cars?
Well, not really, but that's a good idea.
I bet you could make yourself some good spending money doing that.
Yeah.
Since I had the idea, will you cut me in on some of that money?
Okay.
Ryan, you are a gentleman. You are the hope of the hobby in the future. You are a true car guy. Thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show. And in closing, what would you like to say to the viewers?
Well, I'd just like to say that I enjoy this hobby.
Well, we enjoy having you on the show. Thank you, Ryan, very much. What a great time we've had here at the Infestation Car Show in Issaquah, Washington. The XXX Drive-In is the greatest place to have car shows. But there was something else going on here, too. There is a feature film being made right now, Rat Rod Rockers, and we have the director here, D.A. Sebastian. How you doing?
I'm doing very good.
You were doing some filming here today, right?
Oh yeah, we got about 2 or 3 scenes finished today, right here at the car show.
And you are filming at this moment.
I am filming your camera guy right now. So maybe we'll put you on in the movie filming us being filmed.
And so if I step in front like that, he can get it at the same time you got it. Okay. And DA is the director and producer and everything else of Hot Rod Girls Save the World, a actual feature-length film that's out there doing quite well, I understand. So congratulations. And congratulations to you for watching yet another episode of the Vintage Vehicle Show. If you like this one, tune in again next time. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.